What's up, nerds, and welcome back. If you've been following along, then you know that we are currently exploring 40 more of Rob Liefeld's worst drawings. So sit back as we get ready to go through part 3 of such drawings. Alright, let's go ahead and keep it rolling with numbers 20 through 11. So again, we're coming with number 20, we're coming to some Youngblood stuff. Youngblood was basically just a long social experiment where Rob Liefeld revealed he didn't know how things worked, or were supposed to work. The main character of Youngblood, arguably I guess, was a guy named Shaft who was a bow and arrow guy, but his bow didn't have a string. It just fired arrows through technology, I guess. But it was the first real example of, I don't like figuring out how things work, so I'll stop drawing them. Check out Shaft in this picture. He's about to fire 2 arrows of differing sizes without a bowstring. But there are much more egregious examples in this very panel that suggest Rob doesn't know how things work. To wit, Badrock/Bedrock shoulder pads. Look at his right shoulder pad. How's that thing staying on? Magic? Is it some sort of spoiler type system where there's a strut attached to his shoulder that allows the shoulder pad to hover like that? Why would that be happening? Also, look way off to the left there. See that blob emerging from the other side of the motorcycle? That's Bad Bedrock's right hand. Try to fill in the rest of his hand and arm with your mind. I'll wait here while you scream. Okay, now, the motorcycle that Chapel is driving. Well, driving because he is holding a gun in each hand, and holy shit, look at that fucking bendy bike. Just wheeling in sad, static limbo while Chapel leans way forward over the handlebars. Check it out, his knees are in his armpits. Is he performing the world's first and only motorcycle ollie by gripping the hog betwixt his thighs and yanking upward to be a badass? Probably. And of course, the ultimate thing that Liefeld doesn't understand, a lady's body. Boob flopping, giant thighs terminating into her shoulders, pelvic shelf somehow visible from this angle. Her tits half is clearly in no way connected to her thighs half. Just horrifying. And of course, never sleep on Liefeld's depictions of bystanders reacting, because it's almost always a dude in a half-C leather jacket and a beret, standing with legs farther than shoulder width apart and arms held out at his sides, the way no one does. 19, we have a cover for X-Force that is, a front and back cover. Hold on to your butts! I don't know what my favorite part of this is. The fact that Liefeld couldn't draw a clean half circle for the moon and made it diamond-shaped, or Sunspot's epic pouch suspenders with matching codpiece. Wait, I know, it's the worst arm ever drawn attached to the tallest Steven Seagal in a neckerchief ever attempted. Or maybe it's Domino's right boob jutting out of the side of her ribcage and dwarfing her shoulder. Is she holding a super soaker? What's that tube for? And why did she wear a one-piece V-neck bathing suit to the moon? Liefeld gets extra points here for hiding every single foot and just arbitrarily deciding how big and how much of a floating head everyone should be. The right half is clearly the only cover he intended, and the left half is his sketch notes. Nobody would give everybody on the team thigh pouch belts. I think the tall guy is how Rob Liefeld sees himself. 18, we're going back a little bit. The New Mutants, number 86, with Vulture on the cover, God. And I mean, again, you could look at this and be like, okay, yeah, what's wrong with this? This is probably the only type of Liefeld fashion that even he would be embarrassed drawing in 2012. Off-the-shoulder Flashdance style spandex unitard over which is worn bright orange gauntleted gloves and pants that look like he's late to a potato sack race. But despite all of that, how horrifyingly skinny must the Vulture's calf be just above the ankle? Because that is a fist that Rusty is making, and there is no way that the Vulture's leg would fit inside of there. Also, if you look, notice at the end of the Vulture's leg there. His right foot is on his left leg, and that was the last time Rob Liefeld drew a foot. As an aside, this is the most Acts of Vengeance / 1990 cover ever. Todd McFarlane inking a Rob Liefeld drawing with a huge fuck off signature box alerting you to that fact. 2 Dutch angle narration boxes, one with a smudged out typo that went on through to the printers, and a Spidey UPC and a corner crossover denotation, plus a cover dedicated to a fucking superhero whose superhero name is Rusty. 17. God. Just God. I mean, modern coloring cannot save his art. We try to have fun with these, but the point you need to take away isn't that we're funny, it's that Rob Liefeld cannot fucking draw to save his life and should have every dollar he's ever earned taken away so he can work in a mill somewhere and Neil Adams can have his Conan sword. Anyway, the ridiculous group pose in the background is funny, but Suprema is a total mess. Besides her elf boots, yoga shorts that aren't really yoga shorts because he just drew lines across her stomach and legs and colored the inside red, and t-shirt that doesn't have sleeves, contours to her weird underarm muscles and comes to a point in the middle. Rob Liefeld has never seen clothes. Her body is royally fucked. Look at her abs. I think Rob's so used to drawing women from behind with their backs bent and asses out that he blanks on what a stomach looks like. So he just draws a back in the front. How many lines does it need, Rob? The worst part is her right bicep. Her upper arm is just a thigh with a forearm and a hand on the end. It's a fucking thigh. Look at it. Compare it to her other arm. That's a thigh too, but Jesus. If you draw something and it looks like garbage, you can draw it again. Or erase it and redraw that one tiny part. Don't fart onto a blank page and send it in to be colored. That's why they put so many fucking lens flares on it. 16, we go back to some Rejects stuff. More Rejects goodness for you here. Wait, not goodness. What's the word? Oh yeah. Blech. Well, Rob, you finally did it. You just went ahead and drew a vagina. Them's the labia majora. Well done. One last comment on this piece. Open your hand with the fingers extended. Hold that hand up next to your head. I bet your hand isn't longer than your head, right? Now look at this lady's clenched right fist. Now compare that fist to the length of her face. Just saying. 15. I remember when I first read this article looking at this particular piece. 3 major questions here. If these guys are crashing in through a window, why are rocks flying everywhere? Is that supposed to be pieces of the window? 2, why is he surprised to find guys jumping through his window if 2 guys just waltz into his front door? If they can walk in on him all willy-nilly, why are these guys bothering to leap through the window head first? Is this Lupin? Christ. 3, the window guys don't need to do much. Somebody's already broken the guy's index fingers and big toes. Holy shit, look at those things. He's got a thumb for a toe and a witch finger. And no nipples. And his Lakers shorts are crammed into his asshole, apparently. Okay, more than 3 questions. 14. Back to Rejects with a cover here. God. One last look at Rob's gross Rejects whatever the fuck. The bendy swords are in full swing here, but if you look at, I don't know, Thongerella, here you can notice that his refusal to redraw anything that conflicts with anything else extends to basically every part of this cover. Her left hand is not really attached to her wrist. I will bet any sum that the bloody axe head on the right side of the image is meant to be a part of her sword that is sort of, but not quite, bending off the edge of the panel there. Also, there is absolutely no way that this character is meant to be sitting on that skull-adorned pillar or whatever frickin' thing that is meant to be. It looks like she's popping a gnarly squat right in front of that thing, but of course, if it is meant to be a pillar, he didn't draw the rest of it behind her. Rob Liefeld, never having met a woman in real life before, assumes that a strong female character sits in such a way as to greet the rest of the world crotch first. Don't forget to add some line approximating pubic hair to her area bulge, Rob. Your readers might get confused or distracted mid-sad masturbation. 13 with a Youngblood cover here. Ladies and gentlemen, the cover to Youngblood number 9. Or, as I like to call it, the weekend version of that Bad Rock cover with the blind laser sight lady. This one is straight from Rob's high school art folder, and I'm so tired of explaining what's wrong with him. He doesn't know how to draw multiple characters standing on the same plane. He doesn't know how to draw a woman standing. He doesn't know how to draw a woman sitting either, unless she's supposed to be slipping off of Bad Rock's hand. He thinks the rib cage is the biggest part of a person's body. He thinks the thigh should be twice as long as the torso. He thinks we're cool with seeing what he sees when he closes his eyes to masturbate. A lady, 2 ladies, and they're wearing bikinis, and their boobies are so big, and they're choking the ladies to death, and nobody has shoulders, and a monster is there. Also, pretty sure Bedrock has the inside of a bicycle wheel as his neck muscles. Number 12. Oh god. At some point, Rob Liefeld put out a series of joke comics called Shrink that were his super sad and gross attempt at a single panel comic strip. Shrink, get it? Because a psychiatrist, but also superheroes sometimes shrink? Awesome comics! In this one, the titular psychiatrist gives you, the reader, a combination 1,000-yard stare and death grimace, while the also titular, I guess, who gives a shit, shrinking character brags about his sexual endowments in such a way as to make you feel grosser than you have ever felt while reading a comic strip. At first, it seemed as though the character seemed to be bragging about one enormous, grotesque testicle. But then I took a closer look and nope, dick hole. That's a dick hole. Visible through his spandex. Looking at his dick hole. Hey Rob, go fuck yourself. 11. Team Youngblood. Back to the Youngblood stuff. How does Rob Liefeld draw short people? By refusing to draw the bottom half of their legs. He also draws tall people this way. Look at Bad Rock's feet. Look at them. He drew a leg and capped it off with a flat edge and a fucking semicircle. That's not the worst part of the picture. Look over on the right. If your retinas don't burn out from looking at so many lens flares. See Shaft? Die Hard, Bedrock, and Fake Domino are standing behind him. Die Hard's leg is in front of Fake Domino's, so you'd think she was in the back, but her leg is over Bedrock's. So unless the latest Youngblood mission is 3-legged race, there is no way to properly size these people up, especially when they're standing on nothing. Oh, and that's also not the worst part of the picture. See the janitor-looking guy on the left? His name is Night Saber. Night Saber. So there we have it for part 3 of this dive into 40 more of the worst Rob Liefeld drawings to come out, relatively recently speaking. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, that you are subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you would like to know when I have new stuff coming for you. And if you'd like to share the video, I absolutely do appreciate that. But if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, then I'll see you on my next video.